From the headquarters of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador, this is From the South, and I am Soini Gray. We start in Venezuela, where President Nicolas Maduro met with campesinos at the Miraflores Palace in the capital city Caracas after a 21-day march. After walking for 20 days and traveling more than 400 kilometers on foot, the campesino march arrived in Caracas. Their objective is to make their voices heard, assert their rights, and to present their proposals before the national government. The Venezuelan leader stressed that this meeting will produce a concrete commitment and response, as well as solutions to the complaints and problems presented by them. They are presenting proposals to the government and the president that will seek to strengthen the sector in the country, one that has suffered decades of abuse by corporations and landowners before the socialist government of the late President Hugo Chavez and the current President Maduro, who have introduced reforms over the years to support the campesinos.
I have been following the news about the Campesino March, and I think it was absolutely necessary for it to happen, to help us be conscious of the problems they're dealing with. If the government doesn't go to the people need to go to the government. We have always wanted a powerful campesino sector.
Now let's take a look back at how the march to Caracas developed.
Campesinos have been marching since mid-July, heading towards Caracas with their mission of saving agricultural production.
We need supplies so we can maintain our crops in order to feed our people.
Government institutions are full of officials who are not doing their work. They are corrupt, inefficient, lazy. This kind of bureaucracy has hurt us campesinos and our fields.
Small farmers do not want to deal with middlemen anymore. They want President Maduro to listen to them and act on their demands.
We mean to define what are the failures and to formulate a strategy to dismantle these mafias that have unfortunately taken over and are damaging the campesino sector.
Campesinos assert that landowners have ordered the killings of over 300 campesino leaders with the goal of taking away their land. Justice has yet to be served.
Today, we are marching for our dignity, to reclaim our worth. We are the ones working the land and feeding the people. The people saves the people, so we call on President Maduro to help us.
The campesinos are willing to defend the Bolivarian revolution, and this means achieving food sovereignty. With this goal, they continued to march, trusting that they would be received by President Maduro in the Miraflores Palace.
Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa has taken a strong lead in the presidential elections, according to electoral officials, who just announced the results of 9 out of 10 provinces declared and said that Mnangagwa had 2.15 million votes against just below 2 million for the opposition leader Nelson Chamisa. Zimbabwe police confirmed that deaths from yesterday's military crackdown on protesters has since risen to 6. 3 people died today at hospital, 26 protesters have been arrested. Police have sealed off the headquarters for the Movement for Democratic Change Party, and 27 employees carrying out voter counts were locked inside the building. The Secretary General of the MDC said that he suspected the police wanted to incriminate some officials by planting evidence. The police also wanted to meet with opposition leader Nelson Chamisa, but they've since dropped that request after meeting with his lawyer. A delegation from Colombia's guerrilla group, the National Liberation Army, or ELN, has said they intend to continue the peace process and look forward to the incoming government of Ivan Duque. They said they are waiting to see who the Duque administration names to its negotiation team and what their terms are actually. The statement comes a day after the 6th negotiation meeting between the Colombian government and the ELN, which was concluded without any concrete agreement in the capital city of Havana.
We prefer to wait until the new government put in their new people and put in the terms of negotiation on the table. What are they? We understand that they are going to be different from the departing government. We are listening because that is the negotiation. Each party places some terms and looks for points in the middle to advance a negotiation. The government said that they want a political solution to end violence. However, more than one social leader is killed every day in Colombia. They are social activists, environmentalists, human rights activists, labor union members, and leftist political leaders. So in theory, they said they will take violence out of the government's agenda, but in reality, there is a genocide going on. We demand the government to take the necessary measures to stop this genocide.
All talks between the ELN and the Colombian government are now on hold until the transition of power to the new administration is complete. Jose Manuel Jimenez has more from Colombia.
After the closure of the sixth cycle of talks between the Colombian government and the ELN, the High Commissioner for Peace has assured that the talks are stalled and that the arrest warrants for the leaders of the guerrilla movement have been suspended until further notice. That is, until the new president Iván Duque is sworn in and makes a decision about the future of the talks with the ELN.
Social leaders are concerned about the lack of agreement after 17 months of public negotiations.
We had the hope of having much more concrete results in the matter of agreements, especially for a ceasefire, in the most contested regions of the country. It's a humanitarian issue that is vital for us.
According to analyst Víctor de Curria, over the past few months, Santos' government was too passive, which is why they failed to sign agreements that guarantee the continuation of talks.
Ceasefires have been proposed in which the ELN has a number of obligations, but the public force does not have the same. And even though they are different actors, a balance in responsibilities is not achieved through a ceasefire.
According to President Juan Manuel Santos, the ceasefire wasn't signed because of a recommendation from the United Nations.
We have to go to the Security Council, and the Security Council will ask what does the new government think about this, because we are only 4 days away from the new government. It will be counterproductive to sign something that the new government does not agree with.
According to Curria, President Duque won't throw away all the advances made over the years with the ELN. It is one thing what is being said in a campaign, and another as a president.
I don't think the will of President Duque is to break the dialogue, but to reformulate it. How much to do so is what he's analyzing currently.
Social organizations are calling on society in general not to abandon the hope for peace, for the well-being of future generations.
Of course, we make a call to respect the implementation of the agreements. That means that Colombia should have a state peace policy.
On August 7, when President-elect Iván Duque is sworn in, Colombians will know which course their country will take in the matter of peace.
Cuba's ambassador to Argentina met with Argentina's health minister in Buenos Aires on Wednesday. The representatives of the two countries renewed the Cuban-Argentine Medical Trust Program, as well as supplies of vaccines, medicines, and Cuban biotechnical products. The meeting evaluated the potential to use a number of other Cuban products, including particularly the pentavalent vaccine to prevent tetanus, hepatitis B, and certain strains of influenza. Argentina's health ministry also looked into equipment designed to support early diagnosis through mass screenings. And 12 business leaders and former officials of ex-President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner's government have been arrested in Argentina in relation to a new $1 million scandal. A federal judge has asked Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, who is presently a senator, to testify on August 12th in the corruption investigation. But it is unclear whether she will be testifying as a witness or an accuser. Separately, she has also been accused of money laundering and the misappropriation of state funds. More news in a minute, but first here's a video from our colleagues in multimedia. Welcome back. We start in Brazil, where Senator Galice Hoffmann visited hunger strikers at the Cultural Center of Brasilia on Wednesday. Senator Hoffmann said the participants of the Solidarity strike are in good spirits. The hunger strike seeks to bring attention to the rise of extreme poverty and hunger as a consequence of existing social policies. Participants also want to draw attention to what they believe is the unjust detention of former President Lula.
This act has a lot of significance, not only for President Lula and for his freedom, and in protest of what he faces, but for all Brazilians. At this time, it is extremely difficult for the poor. The poor are suffering and unhappy. We are seeing hunger once again in Brazil. So this hunger strike serves to bring attention to this situation. Brazil, which had conquered in the battle against hunger and extreme poverty, is once again encountering this problem. So these people who are here undertaking this hunger strike are those who want, above all, to bring attention to this situation.
And Brazil's former Foreign Minister Celso Amorim, who served under Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, met with Pope Francis to discuss Lula's political and judicial situation. Amorim gave the Pope the book that Lula himself wrote called The Truth Shall Prevail, in which he talks about the political persecution and the role of media in his detentions. Amorim spoke about the meeting as he left the Vatican.
It was a historic day for me. It was with honor and excitement to be received by Pope Francis. I was accompanied by two very important people, politicians and ministers, one from Argentina and one from Chile. And the Pope received us for more than an hour. The main topic was the situation of President Lula, which he has followed with interest and which he says worries him. As we know, he mentioned in that sermon where he expressed his concern about the political coups in Latin America, and it's a constant concern of his.
Meanwhile, the protest caravan against hunger has arrived in Curitiba, where Lula is being imprisoned. Andre Vieira has been following the caravan. He reports from Curitiba.
We are here in Curitiba following the supporters of former President Lula da Silva. The caravan against hunger is already here, and marchers have been organizing different activities since early in the morning, which will take place throughout the day. They have also organized debates with residents to denounce the return of famine to this region. Organizers have reported that since Michel Temer took office, almost 7 million people have been living in extreme poverty in Brazil. They're also denouncing Lula da Silva's imprisonment. Two well-known Brazilian singers will be joining the day's activities. Chico Buarque and Martino da Vila will come to show support for Lula da Silva. Social movements will continue their activities until August 15th, when Lula da Silva will be registered as the presidential candidate for the Workers' Party. We will keep you posted from different regions of Brazil about these mobilizations.
Argentina marked 1 year since the death of pro-Mapuche activist Santiago Maldonado with a large gathering at the historic Plaza de Mayo. People demanded answers about his disappearance.
1 year after his disappearance, the image of Santiago Maldonado can be seen for miles. Not one step backwards, say the human rights organizations, until the circumstances around his death are known.
With Santiago Maldonado, there is judicial impunity. This is a crime committed by the state, where the responsibility lies with the government of Macri, which has been complacent as far as justice is concerned. Now, a year after the death of Maldonado, we continue demanding truth, justice, and reparation for the damage done.
Human rights organizations are appealing for justice and share the grief of the Santiago Maldonado family. They place responsibility for the murder on the growing repressive apparatus by the Mauricio Macri administration against those protesting social policies.
It's a sad day because they are all here, just as they were a year ago when he disappeared. We are once again at the Plaza de Mayo to demand justice. A year has passed, and although the body of Santiago is with his family and was found, there was no justice.
Porque pasó un año y si bien, gracias a la movilización popular, hoy el cuerpo de Santiago está con su familia enterrado en...
It's been a long journey since the 1st of August 2017, when Santiago was last seen alive. His disappearance took place as federal forces cracked down on Mapuche community members in the Cuchamen locality, in the area of the Argentine Patagonia. After 78 days, The body of the young artisan was found in the riverbed of the Chubut River.
There are still no answers for what happened to Santiago. They wanted to pretend that they knew what happened to Santiago through the autopsy report, but investigators didn't know whether he died on August 1st.
Despite the autopsy, it's still not possible to know precisely how or when the 28-year-old died. In the midst of grief, Santiago's family can only continue on their quest for justice and the truth about how Santiago Maldonado died.
In Nicaragua, the government has rejected the creation of a special commitment on the Permanent Council of the OAS to deal with its internal affairs. Maria Jose Diaz has more.
On Monday, the government of Nicaragua rejected the creation of a special commission of the OAS Permanent Council, promoted by the United States and its allies in the region. The government denounced the OAS members for making political moves against them, as well as attempting to interfere in their internal affairs. Right now, an extraordinary session from the Permanent Council is meeting in Washington, in which they plan to approve a resolution that will allow the creation of a special commission from 12 countries to come to Nicaragua. On the other hand, the Truth, Justice and Peace Commission announced this Tuesday that the number of deaths from April 18 to July 31st amount to 265 victims, 13 of them children. Meanwhile, the government continued calling for peace and reconciliation.
Bolivia is celebrating the anniversary of the 1953 agrarian reform, which changed the process of land distribution in the country. Our correspondent in La Paz, Freddy Morales, has more.
Today, Bolivia celebrates the 1953 agrarian reform, which opened the door for the recovery and distribution of agricultural land in the country. Today, the government announced that over the past 12 years there has been groundbreaking changes. For example, the renovation of land ownership certificates has improved, and now there are over 3 million beneficiaries. The agricultural land surface went from 33,000 hectares to 3 million. And before the reform, women were not allowed to own or buy land. But now, more than 45% certified farmlands are owned by women.
And with that, we've come to the end of this news brief. For these and many other stories, you can find them on our website at talisyourtv.net/English. You should also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Talis Your English, I'm Soini Gray. Thank you for watching.